Okay, here we go. So we're going to do each of these 4 examples that are just variations of the same formula. Okay. The first one is going to, you can see the answers differ for each one. This one's I equals, the next one's T equals, P equals, R equals. So basically there's 4 variables. We're going to figure out how to calculate each one. And they all answer a different question. The first one answers, what would the interest be if I started off with this much money, I had this interest rate, and I had it there for this long. This question answers, well, let's say I start off with this much money, I want to make this much interest, I have this rate, how long does it take for that to happen? And then we have down here, I know the interest, I know the rate, I know how long, how much money do I have to start off with for that to happen? And the last one is, I have the principal, the starting amount, I know how much interest I made, I know how long it was building, what was the interest rate that made that happen? So it's just the same question asked 4 different ways, depending on which variable you're solving for. Once you do the first one, it'll get easier for each one after that, okay? So first, each of the examples, the answer is right here. So this isn't like a let's hope you get it right type of thing. The answer is right here. You're just trying to learn how to use Google Sheets in order to have it calculated for you. So you're not using a phone calculator or anything. You're going to do it in here. So and there's going to be a lot of little details, so just raise your hand if you have any questions. Please pay attention. Okay, so the principal is how much you're starting off with. So in this case, it's 2,000. So you just type in 2,000 for P, the principal. Now, for each of these, we want to format them. So it's $2,000, but you'll never, never, never type a $sign in a spreadsheet. There's a little icon up here that says, we'll do it for you. And you click that, and you'll notice it not only does the $sign, it does the comma, the decimal point, and it rounds it to the nearest hundredth, just like money. So you can put any amount in here right now, right? No matter what, I just type in the number, right? And it adds all the other symbols in for me. So this is one of those things about knowing how to use spreadsheets, is that you never do certain things. You always tell the spreadsheet to do it for you, and you never have to type it in over and over and over. So next thing would be the rate, which this says it's 5%. Yeah, 5%. Now if you type in 5, right, there's also a percent button. But it'll assume you mean 500%, because you know 1 is the same as 100. So if you wanted 50%, you actually have to put in 0.5, right? If you put in 0.5, then it'll think, okay, that's 50%. Now, if you just from the very beginning tell it, hey, this is a percent, then you can just type in 5 and not have to worry about it. So it's easier to actually, without having anything in there ahead of time, say it's a percent, and then just type 5. Now, next, it says we're going to do this for 7 months. Now, if this was 6 months, it'd be easy. But it's 7. So know that time is always in years. So if it's given to months, you have to convert it to years. So if it was 6 months, it would have been easy. That would have been half a year or 0.5 years. But it's 7, so we have to convert it, manually here. So it's 7 out of 12 months. That's how you're going to get that amount. But again, you're not going to put in like a number from a calculator. You're going to have the spreadsheet do the calculation for you. So here's how you get a spreadsheet to be a calculator. You start off with equals. If you put equals first, and then after the equal sign, tell it what you want to calculate. So I'm going to put 7/12. And now it gives me the calculation. So you never have to do have a calculator next to you when you're using a spreadsheet. Just let the spreadsheet do the work for you. Alright? And it's going to give the suggestions, which are not correct. So what is this big number? This is 7 months in years. It's 0.5833 years. Okay? How are we doing? Now the interest, to calculate the interest, the formula is simply right here. I equals PRT. Sometimes they say PERT, PRT. So, which means P times R times T. So I want the spreadsheet to calculate this for me. I'm not going to do it manually. So just like here where I typed in equals 7 divided by 12, here I'm going to start off with equals. And I'm going to tell it to multiply these three numbers. Now, to multiply, use the asterisk, which is Shift 8. So I can click on this, 2000, hit the asterisk, Shift 8. That means multiply, and then click on the 5%. Click that, asterisk, and then click on the time, and it'll give me a preview of my answer, 58.33, which matches the answer here, so I know I'm in good shape. If I got something wrong, I'd know whatever I put in there was not correct. So you notice it doesn't put in the numbers for you. It gives the location of, or the address of that number. So this is the column and row number. So C2, you can see this, they're all in column C, that's why they're all C, but they're in different rows. There's nothing in the first row. This is second row, third row, and fourth row. And when you hit enter, it gives the answer. And once again, this is a dollar amount. So just like the first thing, the principal was $1, this is $1, so I want to click on it and click dollar. Format as currency. And that will fix all the format for me. It makes it a dollar sign, it gives a decimal point, and it rounds it. We didn't have any commas because it wasn't above $1,000. Okay, so that's the first step, and it matches the answer, so I know we are good. Cool thing about spreadsheets is now if I change these, it automatically recalculates. If I change 2,000 to 3,000, it now gives me the new answer. You shouldn't have to recalculate. So you tell it once, and this box right here, this cell, multiply whatever is in these three numbers. That's why it says C2, C3, C4. It doesn't say what the numbers are. It just says whatever's in these boxes, right? So you can change it. So you can do this right here. How much, check your understanding. How much simple interest would $800 earn in 300 days, right? At a rate of, what, 5.71. 300 days would be 300 divided by 365. Oops, sorry. Equals 300 divided by 365, right? Just to convert it to a year. And said, oh, that would be 37.55. So it does it automatically. Again, the time was not in years, so I had to divide by 365 since it gave me the days. That's why I divided by 12 on the first one, because it gave me months. As long as you know that there's 12 months in a year or 365 days in a year, you can calculate it. Just make sure you put that equals on the front. Okay? All right. So I'm going to do 3 more. These are going to be similar to each other. The answer here was just to multiply them all together, but the remaining ones you have some division and some other things going on. But they answer different questions. So let's look at, go down to example 5. How much principal interest must be deposited to earn $1,000 interest? So let's say my goal is just to make $1,000 in interest. Click dollar. The rate is 5%, so I'm going to hit percent. 5. And the time is 2 years. I don't have to do anything calculations because it's already in years. So there's no dividing by 12 or 365. The units are already years. The question is, how much money do I have to start off with to make $1,000 with 5% interest in 2 years? Okay. And the formula is simply right here. It's I divided by rate times time. So I just have to go equals, say I divided by rate, asterisk, and time. Now, here's a little problem. It gives me a preview of the answer, which says it's 40,000. But clearly the answer on the left-hand side is 10,000. So what is the mistake? Right, this is where that broad knowledge of algebra, specifically PEMDAS, order of operations. What this is doing currently, because this is what I told it to do, it's dividing these two numbers and then it's multiplying by the last number. It's doing exactly what I told it to do. It's dividing from left to right. But that's not the formula. The formula says multiply the r and the t first, get that answer, and then divide it into the interest. Right? So how do I tell this to do these two numbers first? To multiply these first? What was the first step in order of operations? Anybody remember? Okay. Parentheses, yeah. So if I put this in parentheses, it tells it to multiply first these two numbers on the bottom, get the answer, then divide it into the top number, and you can see now it changes to 10,000, which does match. So basic knowledge of order of operations is really needed for spreadsheets. Otherwise, you could be billing everybody that visited the dentist's office that month. You're charging them $40 instead of $10 or something, simply because of parentheses, right? And this is where, when you start learning this stuff, this is where no one ever uses this real life. And well, yeah, pretty much anybody that's doing anything financial uses it every single day, millions of times. It's just there so much that it seems like, it's not a big deal because it's so commonplace. And again, this is a dollar, so let's go here and make it a dollar. Adds everything. Comma, dollar sign, decimal point, rounding, everything. All right, so this is what we use when we're trying to find out how much money we need to start off with. So let's say, your goal is just to make $1,000 in 2 years. You know the rate's 5%. How much money you have to start off with? $10,000. So you get $1,000 free money if you have $10,000 to sit there for 2 years. All right? Not bad. $500 a year for doing nothing, just for having money. That's how money works. If you have money, you make a lot of money. Rich people make a lot more interest, a lot more free money than you will. If you don't have money. That's why you guys want to be one of the rich people. You want to save up and invest, so you have more and more. All right, so let's go to the top right corner. It's going to be very similar. Okay, it's going to look very similar, but the question's different. So this time, it's saying that Derek has an account that pays 4.1%, so I can go to rate, hit the percent, type in 4.1. I do 4.10, that's okay. You can change the rounding, and if you hit this one right here, it says decrease decimal points. And you can make it 4.1 or increase it, just depending how you want it to round. And then it says the balance is $910. That's the principal. What you're starting with, dollars. And you want the account to grow to 1,000, which you're almost there at $910. So to go to 1,000 means you only need $90 more. That's a dollar amount as well. And the question is, how long does that take? This is one of the biggest questions in finances of all time, especially for retirement. How much longer do I have to work until I can retire? That's the question where the answer is time. So you're going to be doing a lot of this when we get into the retirement section of how long does it take. Depends how much you're starting off with and how much you've saved. And, of course, your rate. So how do you calculate this? Very similar. It says I divided by P times R. But just like the last one, we have to make sure the P and R are in parentheses. So I want to do a calculation, so let's hit equals. So it knows to calculate it for me. I divided by / right? Open parenthesis, P asterisk there we go. And it gives a preview of the answer. It says 2.41, which turns out to be incorrect in the example. It says 2.2 years, but the answer does come out to 2.4. So a little error that was there. Hit enter, and it's this big old long decimal. I wanted just to show 2.4, so I'm going to go back up here and say, let's round this to, 2.4. Okay. So there's the formula. It looks very similar to this one right here, where we had to do the C14 divided by in parentheses. It looked very similar. Now, the check your understanding down here says, how long does it take to double? You have a homework question like this. How long does it take to double? What would you put in here for this question? Well, the principal would be 10,000. To double would be 20,000, meaning the interest is also 10,000. So when it says double, it's asking you, how long does it take you to get as much interest as you started off with? So if we start off with 10,000, how long does it take to get another 10,000? And that would be doubling, because now you have 20,000 total. And the rate would be 11%. And this is saying that would take 9.1 years. So a little over 9 years to make $10,000 off of $10,000 for free. That takes a little time, but that's okay. Now, if you're working for 30, 40 years, you do this over and over and over, you're getting tens of thousands of dollars for free. Right? Not too bad. So we can live with that. Okay? So that's how you do the doubling. Anytime it says how long does it take to double, interest and principal are the same. All right, one more. Let's go down to example 7, which the answer is rate. So this is when you're shopping, like for a good rate. How much of a rate do I need to get in order for this to happen, right? And people that start retiring late, this is what they're doing. They're like, I need to get the best rate so I can get the most money, that kind of thing. So Carrie invests 5,000. So I'm starting off with 5,000. Don't forget the format. And he's investing for 5 years. Time is years. 5. There we go. So I don't have to divide by anything. No, don't have to divide by 12. Everything's already in years. And the interest rate is saying I want there to be $6,000 at the end. So I already have 5,000, which means the interest total is going to be $1,000. That way I'll have 6,000 at the end of it. After end of 5 years. That's a dollar amount as well. So the question is, what interest rate would have that happen? So calculate, just like the previous two, interest, / divide, parentheses, and multiply P times T, or the second and third rows. So this time we have equals F14 / parentheses, F15 asterisk, F16 close parentheses. And it gives me an answer of 0.04. Remember, this is a rate, so it's percentage. So let's go up here, click the format as percent. It automatically converts it for you. If you wanted just to show 4%, you can say, or 4.0%, you could do that, or you could leave it at 4.00. Usually it's 2 decimal places, whatever, it's fine. Okay. And since it's a dynamic formula, I can say, well, let's do this example. Deposit of 500, 2.5 years, and I want to earn $200. Oh, I need a 16%. Probably not going to happen. Savings accounts are usually, well, they used to be like 3%. Now they're kind of closer to like less than 1%. So 16% savings account, probably not going to be a real thing. All right, so those are the 4 examples. Now what you're going to do is use these, any one of these, to answer the questions on your homework. So what you need to do is read it and identify, well, what am I solving for? What are you solving for? So like this one says, find the simple interest. So because the first 4 words were find the simple interest, you know you have to use the formula where interest is the answer. Same thing down here. The second question is, find the simple interest. Down here it says, how long does it take to double? So that's a different question. The question is how long? Time. So over here, you know for that third one, it's what we just did here. How long does it take to double? And you'll have to just change these numbers and the rate to get how long it takes to double. So that's probably going to be the most crucial part of this, is reading comprehension. It's reading something and saying, well, what is the question? That way you know what formula to use. So a couple is planning savings account. They start with this much money, no deposits. What's the balance if it earns 5% for 18 years? Another interest question. This one says Ron estimates that it'll cost $400,000 to send to private college in 18 years. Currently has $90,000. What's the interest rate that's going to take for that to happen? Okay, so that's going to be something that has like this when you're trying to find out what the rate is. Yeah, what interest rate? So that's what that question is. Starting off with $9,000, need $400,000 in 18 years. What is that rate that will make that happen? So there's all sorts of different financial questions, so you have to use the formula in different ways. And the second one, the last one here is, again, what interest rate? So that's a little more straightforward. You know it's going to be this one again because the answer is interest rate. So the nice thing is, all you have to do is just delete these, right? And then replace it with the right numbers. So $9,500 to earn $900 in 19 months. So I want to earn $900 from $9,500. 19 months, I got to convert it, equals 19 divided by 12. Oh, I need a 5.98% interest rate. So just like that, I can answer that. I can say, I can even copy it, Control C, go over here. If I do Control V, it's going to say, wait a minute, you want that formula to be moved here? We can't do that. So there's a slightly different thing we have to do, and that just is Control Shift. So if you instead do Control Shift V, then it'll just, then it will copy it over. Or you can just retype it, either way. Okay. So that's how to use these. If you Google interest calculator, you'll see something very similar to this where it says, what are you solving for? And you can just plug in the numbers. But I wanted you guys to know how to do this and that it's possible to do this yourself and build formulas. We'll be doing a lot of this with everything else, especially all your budgets when we get there.